So this video is about the step after the game is concluded, which is publishing. There are many places where you can share or sell your work, but in my case I'm going to use the itch.io website. Itch.io is a web store for digital content, mainly video games. In the Installs tab of the Unity Hub, you select the Add modules in the configuration of your Unity's installation. In the middle of the list you can find the WebGL build support. Select and install. This will allow Unity to build a version that can run in a browser and eventually from a website like itch.io. Once done, you can open your project normally, but in the build settings you have now this new WebGL option. Select it and wait until Unity compiles everything to the new web version. If you get errors, you need to work on them. Switching to build platform can bring new errors because you may be using something that is not compatible with the new platform or have a different way of access. An example is programming an iPhone-specific function dependent on a proprietary technology from Apple and expecting that to translate directly to an Android or vice versa, for example. In this case, I get no errors because I'm not using anything very specific or fancy. Before I can build a version to run on itch.io, I should change one specific setting. Under Project Settings, Player, Publishing Settings, you need to disable compression. Itch.io is not capable of running a build with this compression. Now in the Build Settings panel, you can click on Build, create a web folder inside the Builds folder and select that. Unity will start to build and it will take a very long time. This process took me around 15 minutes, but eventually, if you change something in your game and rebuild it to the same folder, it will take less time. Once the build has finished, you open the web folder and select all files, and, from here, right-click in the index file and compress it to zip. This zip file is the one you upload to itch, and your itch page will automatically incorporate the game inside to the game's web page. In itch, after login, create a new project and fill the fields with information about your game. Click on this Quality Guidelines link and make sure you follow them for an optimal result. In my opinion, you should really take care of some aspects of your game presentation, even if the game is in a test phase or is not totally completed or playable. The title should be the game's name. This will also be the web's address to your project. Careful with the bad spelling. The cover image needs to be at 630 by 500 pixels and, in my opinion, doesn't need to be gameplay footage. You have a little artistic freedom here. I believe you should keep the style as in gameplay, but you also have the option to adjust some parameters in order to have a good image. I also believe the title should be written in the image itself. Many people don't read the text right below the image, and at least with this, they can have an idea of the title. Make sure the image is readable at a small size because it is how the majority of people will consume that medium. Add a short description, very straight to the point and concise. In my case, I will add something like a human mind saved by its robotic friend looking for a way to return to a body. Are you up to the task? Here I like to have a little bit of context in this description and a call for action with a question challenging the potential player. Also, this is limited to 120 characters and that demands a very straightforward and simple description. Many people will not read this anyway, and those that will, because they were already attracted by the cover image, need to be more intrigued, and having a written explanation of the image itself is no point. In this classification drop-down menu, you select games. The list has many other options, and if you are developing other kinds of software, be aware of those options here. In the kind of project menu, you should choose HTML if you are exporting to web, or else it will not set up the page to run the game online. The release status is where you set how your project is doing in terms of development. In this case, I will choose prototype, but as you can see on this list, you have some other options. The pricing is donating by default, but for you to collect your payments, you need to set up the taxes information in the United States. So if you are just sharing an idea or an indie project, be aware of all the declaration that may be applied to you before commit to paid or donation. You should upload as many files as you can. If you have a PC, Mac, Linux and web version, you should upload all of them. The web version needs to have this option to make it playable in browser on. In the Embed options, you should allow the player to full screen the game because you will make it mobile friendly very easily. Select the click to launch in full screen and tick this mobile friendly option. You should also lock the screen orientation to the frame shape of your game. In this case is landscape. In the description, you should tell your story. This is where you have the space to tell everything about your game. Make it interesting and appealing. Explain the type of gameplay, a little of the background story, and challenge the player to try your game. This is Robo, a little pet robot that copies human's mind before it dies. Now, after some centuries of trying to adapt the code to run a human simulation inside its CPU, it was able to boot and it's alive again, fighting to survive in a world where nature regains its place and humans are no longer present for a long time. The question is there any way to clone a human body and restore his friend? The genre is survival, in my case, and the tag should focus on things other than what you already set up, so no need to waste tags with survival or web game, etc. In my case, I go cute, forest, and robot. At this point, you don't need any more settings here, so just make sure you have the draft option selected and save the page. Now you go on this view page link and test the play on the website. Nice, it works okay. You should now improve the looks of the page itself to make it more appealing. In this Edit Theme button, you have access to this configuration panel for the page of the game. Set it according to your art and build your own images to carefully fill the page. Try every setting and see if it can be used to improve the visual experience of a person exploring the page. Once done, click on Save. If you click on your profile name, you should have a similar button to configure the profile page look. You should care about this, at least to keep it clean and not to look abandoned. The screenshots should be in gameplay, and it is important to show the user's interface. Why? Because the player will understand the game much better if the interface is present and respects some kind of standard look or form for the type of game. In my case, the interface clearly shows the inventory and the player can translate that information very quickly. You can also add a small trailer or a gameplay video. My favorite approach to this is a little bit of a gameplay to show exactly how the game is played and what the player can expect. Now you have everything ready, you can publish the page by setting public and save. This will make your page discoverable in the itch.io main page if you follow the guidelines. If you want to start building your audience, you should also have an active presence on social media. In the itch.io page, the best way is to keep devlogs about your efforts in making the project. A YouTube channel is also a good way to maintain devlogs public and reachable. The devlog is the place to show your achievements, your struggles, ask questions, and show your progress. It's also a way to show you are actively working on your game and growing your knowledge and commitment to the potential buyers of your game. Well, at this moment, I can't tell you more than this. I don't have a very big fan base and I don't feel very comfortable talking about something I don't have experience. But for sure, the information is out there. My favorite indie developer and blogger is John in his Lost Relic Games channel. You should watch it and follow and like his videos because he has the experience and actually have a great devlog channel talking about his projects, struggles and achievements. But more than that, he shows what is this life of an indie game developer. So, I'm honestly hoping to find your games online with a great fan base supporting you, a lot of devlogs, a lot of questions and a lot of answers. I hope you learned something today and see you in the next one.